We'll call the meeting back to order. We'll move to agenda item 2.44, Communication Public Engagement Survey.
Yes, good afternoon, Council. Brian from Administration. So on page 138 of your agenda package is our Communication Public Engagement Survey results. So the survey was conducted over a couple month period. We did try to reach out to as many people as we could. In the report kind of details exactly where we reached out and how we reached out to people. So we included it into the 2022 tax insert, which would reach every ratepayer in Wheatland County. We also put it in the Strathmore Times newspaper, the Drumheller Mail. We had it on a social media, the County Connector. We had some printouts at our administration building for people to do, to potentially fill out on our county website. And we also took it to community events that we held as well. So we took one in Rosebud and one in Carsland. So there were, I believe, 11 questions on that survey, and the results of the survey start on page 144. So if someone wasn't a resident of Wheatland County, they weren't eligible to fill out that survey. So kind of the survey results start on page 145. The report is there. The information is, it's interesting for sure. Lots of kind of different answers across the board. Administration thought it would be a good opportunity to at least bring this to council first for your consideration on what to do with this data. If there is any specific direction, if you'd like administration to kind of bring back a plan as well. We found the comments fairly useful as well. We thought the comments were very valid by residents, as they, there's some ideas in there of potentially creating a monthly newsletter or a bi-monthly newsletter and somehow getting it out to the residents there. Interesting on the, I think it was the preferred method of communication. So that was question 8 on the survey. So all the results are there. If council does have any questions or comments, we'd really like to hear them. Thank you.
Any questions for administration?
Yeah, when I looked at it, I noted that social media topped the rating for how people are currently obtaining information, and also for how satisfied they were with the information. Social media, so I'm assuming that's Facebook and our other platforms that we use. And then in the comments, it did say that like a digital monthly newsletter would be something a lot of people mentioned. So I think it's worthwhile to explore just how we might be able to do that in terms of maybe, doing some kind of a request for email addresses to start something like this. I think it would be an easy enough thing to create just because we're already putting things on Facebook and things like that. So to put them in a digital email and sending them out might take time to grow and for people to be aware that it's available, but I think it's possible.
Any other questions or comments? Donna and then Scott.
The fact that they don't really like town hall meetings kind of, well, it surprised me a little bit, but then you get to the comments, it says that they don't mind, wouldn't mind like coffee, individual coffee. So I think it's the big gatherings, they don't really care to have that anymore. Just comment. Found that surprising.
Just looking through it and surprised that most people want electronic information, which is good because I think we do a good job with that. Whether or not it's the right information they get, sometimes people, I see stuff on Facebook, people post something about the county or something that's completely wrong and you want to correct them, but you got to be careful with that. So it's, I think we're doing a good job. Honestly, we're looking at this, I don't think there's anything that's out there. The newspapers aren't as good as they used to be, that's for sure. They don't get out cover as many people. I see a few things about coffee with council, but No, I've seen that firsthand, and generally people don't show up, so.
Any other questions or comments? Just a question to administration, and it could come back. I don't expect you to have the number at your fingertips, but the cost for the county connector for doing like the physical print of it and then doing the mail out. And if you don't know it right now, just if that could maybe come back at some point.
I do not know that number right now, and we can bring that back in this council meeting.
Just curious, just because it didn't seem like that was necessarily a high priority, although when I chat with people, I do like frequently have people say they like that we do it. I don't know if digital could be a replacement for that. Likely not, just given some of our demographics, but something to keep in mind for in the future for sure. I do like the idea, like Councillor LaPrice, of exploring a digital newsletter. If it was something that we could do, if we have capacity in-house, I mean, it's virtually you have your capacity that would go towards it, but it's free delivery to get like targeted information to people on a regular basis. I know algorithms and things like that, like it can be challenging for people to, I know somebody said that they had set up notifications that can help, but a number of people referenced they don't always think to necessarily go to the website and seek out information, whereas if it's being delivered, that could be effective. I did get compliments on the design of the engagement, and even like on LinkedIn, somebody had referenced that it was very accessible, and by utilizing the multimodal and the QR codes, and it was like a very advanced, very fulsome engagement. And I did get feedback from ratepayers as well that they appreciated that we were engaging on it. And so just thank you to administration and the team that put it together. I think it was done extremely well. And this is really good information for council. Any other questions or discussion? I don't know if we want to contemplate maybe a motion to get information about digital, like an e-newsletter. I know some other municipalities that do them and they can be effective. I don't know if there's I see a few nodding heads, a couple anyways.
I'd make a motion to direct administration to look into creating a sort of an email newsletter option, I guess, for our communication. And maybe, yeah, just if we have the capacity and rough costs of what that might look like. Yeah.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Any questions or discussion regarding the motion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Any other questions or discussion regarding the engagement results?
I also move that Council accept the Communication Public Engagement Survey Report dated August 6, 2022 as information.
There's a motion on the floor. Thank you, Councillor LaPrice. Any questions or discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you so much. We will move to 2.45, Drumheller and Area Health Foundation Member at Large Appointment Application.
Yes, good afternoon, Council. Brian, again from administration. So there was a previous resolution that Council had put forward to advertise for a member at large appointment for the Drumheller Area Health Foundation. So after a few applications, we did receive an application. So the person is a resident of the town of Strathmore, and definitely very skilled and qualified, and she said she would like to represent the county at this board. One thing for council's consideration as well, even outside of the appointment, is that this is probably one of the only boards that we don't provide remuneration for committee meeting. and mileage. Part of me does believe that one of the reasons for potentially having problems getting a applicant in was just there was no mileage or per diem for the board. I did ask if the meetings were ever conducted virtually, and they said that they were, but they're moving back in person. So for someone to say that was interested in like Carsland, for example, although it probably more applicable for Division 7, but that is an extreme example that it would be very difficult to get a candidate from that area for the county to represent the county at this board. So just for council's consideration as well. So administration, we did have that recommendation of appointing Erica Reynolds as the Wheatland County member at large. Thank you.
And I don't know, and she's probably as qualified, I think, 2 questions. And I would have put my name forward if we'd had per diem and mileage, because it's even a long drive for me. I'd be willing to sit on it too. But the question is, can we have someone that isn't a resident of the county represent the county properly? And I don't know the answer to that question.
Pardon me, I had similar concerns. Was somebody that lives in Strathmore, which is far away from that district, would it be appropriate for them to be sitting on a board that would make decisions for the area? And with this, we never had anybody appointed before, so...
Ben was, but he didn't charge anything.
Was it actually appointed all the time? Yeah.
I believe so, yeah.
It wasn't at our org meeting, I don't think.
No, I don't think it was in the org meeting. I'm just wondering if we shouldn't have this just go up to the org meeting.
Right. And sorry, and when I say Ben was on it, it wasn't as a Division 7 counselor, it was as Ben Armstrong.
Yeah.
I guess for me, my hesitancy, and I think it would be good to like review our committees and stuff, but because health doesn't really fall under like municipal jurisdiction, I think there are like, I serve on boards and committees like outside of like my role as a counselor for things where it's just like public service to the community, but not necessarily where we need an official like council position represented. This organization, I think, does phenomenal work, and I think we have been very, very blessed to have like committed individuals who have served and represented the county. I have some hesitation about integrating it into like an actual board committee. And I would echo the concerns about us appointing like a non-Wheatland County representative. I do know that Mary Marshman is currently serving, and I have full faith that she would do a phenomenal job at representing sort of that rural perspective on the foundation. And I'm very grateful for her service and for Gary Crabson's previous service on the board, and Ben's as well. Just not sure that we need to bring it under like council jurisdiction. That's my only concern.
I just want to make sure that I understand. So we normally appoint 2 members at large. So there's always 2 from Wheatland County, or is one an alternate and one is?
I would say it was more of a standing appointment. So it's not on our committee list. It's not on our board list. We don't pay any per diems or mileage. Yeah, they come present. It definitely benefits Wheatland County ratepayers like the Drumheller Area Health Foundation, but it's kind of a unique board that it doesn't have annual appointments. They've been members for a long time. I don't really have much more than that.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there's also a Strathmore, I don't know if it's a foundation or there's like an auxiliary or something, but they do fundraising for the hospital as well.
I guess I would think if we were contemplating paying a per diem and mileage, and if not Councillor Larson, but Rick Larson wanted to, he would be more, because of your proximity to the Drumheller area, I would see that as better fit.
And you know what? Honestly, I wouldn't even care about the per diem. It's 45 miles each way for me to Drumheller. If I can get mileage, that's all I care about. I don't need the cash. I just don't want to be out of cash. I don't honestly. Do you know how often they meet, Brian?
I believe it's once a month, and I don't think they meet over the summer either.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if it was a couple times a year, I'd go, yeah, I'll eat that. But once a month is, But I'd be happy to just get
Why are we
mileage.
appointing anyone? Why are we appointing anyone? Is that how their board is set up? Is that
It's how their board's set up, and it was at their request.
I just think we have to be careful. Like, we do get requests. I get requests for like the Prairie Health region, I'd say about monthly. Like, just they're looking for people to serve on their board. Honestly, my concern, like, they do excellent work, and obviously the hospital serves Drumheller, Starland, and Wheeland, it says, and the foundation, but this really is around like fundraising and that health focus, which really does not fall and doesn't really intersect with the work that we do. I would say even less so than some of like the water conservation, or like where we actually have an intersection between like our land use planning and sort of social or environmental issues or that type of thing. So I think it's a great organization. I think it's good that they're looking for diverse representation. I just think this is something that should be done like on a voluntary basis, and recognizing the expenses with serving. I have expenses with serving like frequently just with driving places. I'm not as remote, just with where I choose to live, but when we live early, we're driving all the time to, whether it's to volunteer or to serve the community. That's my personal thoughts. Council's wishes.
Listening to this, and when you think about Strathmore has a hospital too and stuff, we're not on one and we're not on the other. You know what's going to happen. There'll be somebody asking there too, and it's not really our hat to be in health like this. So I'm struggling to even try to appoint somebody for this, to be honest. I keep hearing in my ears, stay in your lane, and this is not in our lane.
the volunteer thing though?
We could seek clarity from the foundation if they can just appoint somebody, like through their own internal processes. I don't know. I know they made the request. I think Gary served for a long time without council even really knowing.
I think so as well. With any RFD or any recommendation from administration, obviously it doesn't have to be that. You don't even have to vote on that recommendation. In our boilerplate RFD template, the response options, council could ultimately go with option 3, that an alternative recommendation is either accepted or approved, and say further information from the Drumheller Area Health Foundation, or just not approve what's in front of you, and that's okay too.
I'll make the motion to accept this as information and review it at organizational meeting time, and with the idea of just seeing what Strathmore does and what are we missing in the area if we look at this. Is there another health region to the south of us that has some boundaries within us as well? I don't know. To be fair, that'd be the best way I think to look at it.
Yeah, and does it fall like within our jurisdiction of where we want to allocate tax dollars? So motion on the floor, Councillor Laverson.
I know, and the reason I was approached by Jacqueline Watts from Starland County to sit on this, so I know Starland has a representation. So I don't know if that, if that's typical or not. I don't know, but I just thought I'd offer that as information.
Awesome. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. We'll move to 2.46.
Yes, Council. Brian from Administration again. So just on page 172 of your agenda package is just attendance ratification at the CGC announcement on July 28th.
Council's wishes.
I'll move that council ratify attendance plus mileage at the CGC announcement on July 28th, 2022.
Any questions or discussion?
I'm just curious, is that standard practice? Because to me, it's kind of like going to events and other things like that. Is this normally how municipalities get paid to go to
I
it?
don't know. That's a good question.
Or is it much different than the Health Foundation? I don't know.
The windmills, I'll throw that in too.
Yeah, which we didn't charge for,
No.
which I didn't mind. That was close to me. First one.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, isn't it? I mean, you think about all the different things that you attend, and so they start to pile up, you know, when you go to all the summertime events in your area, plus these things. Hopefully we'll have lots more. but yeah, it's a bit tricky.
So,
Is this not the reason we have this ratification process? Because I can justify why I was there. Anytime I get a chance to sit down and meet the Premier and talk to the Premier, and anytime I get to talk to two or three, a cabinet minister and two or three MLAs, that is something that has to be attended to, in my opinion. I could be wrong. All of us do a lot of events that we don't charge for, but I believe that there are certain high-profile ones that do take, that are not, that you do not just go in and go out of, that you just can, you have to, so that's why I'm good with this.
for me, I look at it as, because I own a small business and whenever I'm not there, oh, sorry. Did you have your hand up beforehand?
Yeah, but that's okay. Finish.
Oh, okay. I have to replace myself when I go to these things. I have to pay for someone to take my position out of my own pocket. So, and I look at it as, do I get any personal benefit from it? I don't. Like, it's nothing, it's for the county. And I will say this was an absolutely amazing event that we put on. I think we put on, or jointly put on. There was probably the top notch that I've ever seen for the county of Wheatland, and if not, most of the events we go to. So for whoever missed it, it was fantastic, and thank you to everybody that did that. So that's how I just look at it too. So.
And I don't disagree with you necessarily, Scott. I was unable to attend for various reasons, but I'll take this to one that Shannon and I attended on our own dime, the WAR's annual general meeting, where Minister Savage was there and 4 other MLAs, and we're not really. I mean, if you're going to ratify this one, you might as well ratify ours, and then where do we stop? Is I don't know. That's my concern. I mean, we didn't do it for the windmills. Now we're going to do it for this, but we're not going to do it for wars. I'm just not sure where we need some guidelines as to what qualifies then if we're going to start doing this, I think.
I guess I see Tom's point that, having an opportunity to, and so maybe that AGM could be ratified, because I did speak with Minister Savage and Minister here. And anyways, so maybe that's the defining thing, is if you've, just become, if you've had the ear of a minister or somebody who you want to influence, then I guess maybe that makes it worthwhile.
I think we needed to be there. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
To me, I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's council's discretion. For me, what I look for, like what I'll be considering is value to the ratepayer. Is it an expectation? Does it align with like our strategic priorities, those types of things? I also have no issue, probably half of what I do just goes under like our regular pay or whatever. there's frequently probably, I don't even want to guess, half a dozen, 10 sort of, probably around half a dozen on average, I would guess, a month commitments that I just do because we're invited to represent the county. And then just obviously engagement. I'm totally fine if this falls within we are paid an honorarium, or council can ratify attendance. It's totally council's discretion.
I think this process of ratification is for the stuff that's out of the box. We do have, and I think we've tried to have a discussion before to try to figure out what works and what doesn't, and we always end up back here. So, when in doubt, ask. And if you attend an event and you want to ratify it, absolutely bring it forward. You have to be scrutinized by your peers, and that's okay. That's and the public's going to see the discussion, and I'm okay with that too. So,
That's fair.
yeah.
Good discussion. There's definitely different ways of looking at it for sure. Do we have a council? Do we have a motion?
There's a motion.
There is a motion, thank you. I should have marked it. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. 2.47, letter of support regarding hydrogen initiatives.
Yes, council. Just due to the council recess, there was a longer stretch without a council meeting where we couldn't obtain a council resolution for this. So what administration did is that we straw polled council. We did receive 4 responses from councillors with a yes response to send the attached letter. If there are any questions, please let me know.
Council's wishes.
I'll move that council ratify the letter of support for hydrogen initiatives sent to Scott Silva on August 11, 2022.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Move to 2.48.
Good afternoon, Joel from Corporate Services, here to present the 2022 property tax statistics. Information available in the report was to essentially review the uncollectible rate relative to prior years at the tax deadline date. As you can see in the graph of the report, the 2022 year was at about 32%. And as noted in the report, it's not necessarily alarming because we do have a substantial increase in the TIP application uptake, which increases our monthly cash flow, which is a benefit. And we also did have some substantial reassessments on some linear property, which that triggers a further deadline date. So those properties would have paid past the June 30th date. So if you take those into account, then our uncollectible rate is actually quite in line with prior years and quite favorable. If there's any questions, staff are available.
Any questions?
Could I just ask about the linear category? So do you know if some of these are ratepayers who normally are delinquent or late or don't pay taxes?
So
do we have an issue with that?
in reference to the linear property in particular for this year, there was around, I believe, $5 million of that, which is a reassessment. And so when you're looking at the uncollectible rate of 44% for that particular levy type, it's actually because those properties that were reassessed, because they were reassessed, they don't have to pay until after June 30th. And so it kind of skews the uncollected rate to look worse than it actually is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If that makes sense.
Any other questions? If not, a motion to accept the report. Councillor Kester?
The uncollected, and every question we've asked, we've had a reason why it's not uncollected. I'm wondering if we couldn't have another column that's uncollected, or there's a reason why they just didn't pay the taxes. Because those are significant reasons why taxes aren't collected, the TIF or everything else, yeah. I would like to know, how do you compare that to prior years? I know everything else, but still moving forward, we could start a baseline. This is what our uncollected is, or past due, or moving on to accounts receivable, or whatever.
And that's great feedback. We can definitely integrate that into a report, either future into this year or into this year's report or next year, because that would be a good point to have is uncollected amounts such as to be received on tips or a future deadline past June 30th, and then other, like something very simple like that would be good. We'll make note of that and integrate that one.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, that would be great. Maybe even when you do like financial update, you could just do an update on tax collected, just so that we can, like Councillor Kester said, monitor if there's like an actual issue that has developed or if everything's on track. It's a great idea. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor?
Do we have a motion?
Let's get a motion.
We're all in favor of something. I move that council accepts the
Thank you.
2022 property tax statistical data report as information.
You say excuse that we're out of practice.
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Laprise. Questions or discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. We do have a 1 o'clock appointment. Yes, you bet. I will move us into closed session. All in favor? Motion is carried.